All right, why you have your head back like you're trying to be hard with me? All right, so do not come to the court trying to be hard because this is not the streets. You understand? Court is calling 2022. If everyone could please whisper 2022 CR 10140, State of Texas versus Leroy Johnson. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Jason Gearhan, Your Honor.
Defense.
Robert Porter for Mr. Johnson.
And are you Mr. Johnson? We're here for sentencing. You entered a plea of no contest on January 19th. You made an application for deferred adjudication. According to the plea bargaining agreement, the state waived the deadly weapon allegation. Punishment was to be assessed at a cap of 6 years in the prison, and the state is silent on your application. They're taking certain items into consideration, and there's to be restitution, if any, to Hector Vega. Have both parties had a chance to review the PSI report, state?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, any objections to the PSI report?
Not from the state, Your Honor.
Defense?
Your Honor, yes.
All right, what are your objections?
We're standing before the court saying that the court is being misled as far as the cap evaluation.
Right, I'm sorry, just a moment. Excuse me, in the box, if you all could either whisper or not speak in the box while we're on the record so that the court reporter can hear. All right,
I'll speak up a little louder, Judge.
thank you.
We're going to stand before the court and say that the cap evaluation is not correct, nor if anything else was correct as far as his drug use is concerned.
All right, so what is your correction to the tap?
He does have a drug issue, Your Honor. Ecstasy and meth daily. At issue, Judge, is we visited about what was going on and why we're doing what we're doing today is simply this. Mr. Johnson was always thinking, okay, what's the easiest way that I could get out the quickest type of deal? After he did this evaluation, we got to think about it. I said, no, I need help. I need to do that so I can quit lying to myself and quit lying to society, quit lying to everybody. And I said, well, you've told him this, and that's not true. That is true. And I want drug help. So I guess my objection would simply be that when they're sitting there saying that there's no recommendation that it's cannabis use and then alcohol way back when. It is true he doesn't drink much alcohol at all. Or use marijuana much, but he uses ecstasy and meth.
All right, anything else with regards to the actual report?
Everything else is fine.
All right, anything you wish to say on behalf of your client?
Your Honor, having said that, it was refreshing to actually have an individual sit there saying, have reflection, and I'm sitting there to sit there and say, you know what, this is crazy for me to be doing what I'm doing. I do want help. So we're respectfully requesting this court to grant his application for giving drug treatment.
All right, so what the court has concern about is number 8 in the PSI report. It's on page 5. And I'd like to know what is meant by this type of behavior before.
Well,
That's what the complainant is saying. The complainant says that he's engaged in this type of behavior before.
no. Well, Judge, I don't think I could speak.
I'm so sorry. That's me misreading. He stated that if the defendant has a history of this type of behavior, he does not think he should get probation. But if this wasn't an isolated incident, he can understand him being given another chance.
Right. So
I'm sorry, my misreading. So, Mr. Johnson, you waived your right to remain silent when you entered this plea. Could you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth to help you God? All right, you can lower your hand. State your name for the record, please.
Leroy Johnson.
All right. So I'm gonna need you to speak up so that I can hear.
Oh, Leroy Johnson.
So explain to me about your drug use.
I take ecstasy every day, like all day. That's it. So much ecstasy, I get delusional.
I can't hear you.
I said after so much ecstasy, I guess I went delusional. Went outside. Shoot.
Are you in your children's life at all?
Yes, ma'am.
Why? Because it doesn't appear that you're a good parent.
I don't always do that. I went delusional. I was seeing her.
No. I want you to focus on the questions that I'm asking.
Yeah.
My next question for you is, are you in the lives of your children?
Yes, ma'am.
How often had you been seeing them before this?
I have my children there all the time on the weekends and holidays.
Who's letting you have children on the weekend and holidays when you use ecstasy daily?
I'm still a good parent.
All right, let me ask you a question. How old are your children?
10, 7, and 8.
All right, so they're 10, 7, and 8.
We're going on, 10, 7, and 6. Excuse me.
10, 7, and 6, right? All right, so let's say you're going to have your children for the weekend, and you want to have your children for the weekend. An emergency comes up, and the mother of the children and no other relative can keep them. But somebody tells you, hey, I know someone who's a great babysitter, and it's me. They tell you, get Stephanie Boyd. I know you have your emergency. She's a great babysitter. You say, I don't know. And somebody says, well, let me give you her references. They give you my references. You call and check. Everybody says, Stephanie Boyd is a great babysitter. And as a matter of fact, she's the best babysitter in the world. And you say, well, I still don't know. Let me just have her come over and see if my children like her or not. So you stay with me and you stay with the children for an hour. The children love me. They're all over me saying, Daddy, please let her be our babysitter while you go off on this important thing you have to do. And finally you say, okay, Stephanie, I'm going to want you to call me every hour, but I'm going to let you babysit my children because children like you. And I got all these great recommendations from everybody saying you're great. You don't have any criminal history. I'm going to let you babysit my children. And I'm excited because you're saying, I'm going to pay you $70 an hour. I'm like, great. And so as you're leaving, I say, well, there's something I really need to tell you that you may not know about me. I use ecstasy every day. When I tell you that, do you let me babysit your children?
No.
So you have been the parent or the babysitter who's using ecstasy every day, babysitting your children. And that means you're not a good parent. Because if you thought you were a good parent and using ecstasy, you would allow someone to babysit your children who use ecstasy. Do you understand? So I will tell you this. I'm going to give you a choice. And Mr. Porter will tell you, sometimes I can give people choices, sometimes I cannot give them choices. I can place you on probation. I'll give you a deferred adjudication, but you're going to safety because felony drug court will not accept you. We can have them look at you, but they're not going to accept you because of this gang affiliation issue. So you can either wait and go to SafeP. SafeP is a 9-month program. SafeP, you're going to spend 6 months inside the facility. And then there's 3 months of aftercare. So you can do that, or I will sentence you to 4 years prison. So you can discuss that with your attorney. Mr. Porter, do you need to discuss that with him?
I would like to, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Yes. And you dated it. It's going to be a great day. All right, Mr. Porter, you all can come back up. All right, so we are back on the record in 2022 CR 10140, State of Texas versus Leroy Johnson. Has your client made a decision?
Yes, Judge, it was a quick decision. He had already paid up with this, he just wanted to go some legalities of it, but he got to try.
Okay. All right, then this is what the court will do. Court will sentence you to 8 years deferred adjudication. I'm going to want gang supervision. There's to be no employment as a home health care provider or with minors. There's to be no unsupervised contact with minors, Mr. Porter. Once he's in his sobriety, then the court may consider that. But for now, no unsupervised contact with minors. Ms. Abrams, I don't know if Child Protective Services is involved in this case or not, but if they are, I'm going to want CPS compliance. I'm going to want regular reporting by Zoom or in person. Field visits 3 times per month. A referral to felony drug court. And if he's not accepted in felony drug court, then I'm going to want safety. And he's to remain in custody until accepted in felony drug court or safety. There's to be restitution and no contact with Hector Vega. Taking consideration 2022 CR 10141, 2022 CR 10142. The UA hotline upon release. And he's to be tested at least once a week. And state, you can, I'm sorry, state, I meant probation. You can lower that as you all see is appropriate. And I'm going to want 90 meetings in 90 days upon release. Probation, is there anything else he needs? I'm sorry, parenting classes. And those parenting classes will be with Triple P. 250 hours of community service restitution. 40 of those hours will be waived if you provide proof of the COVID vaccination. Court is not requiring you to get the COVID vaccination, but if you do, 40 of those hours will be waived. The remaining hours will be waived upon completion of parenting classes. Probation, is there anything else he needs? Is there anything else you need for me to be successful on this probation? All right, why you have your head back like you're trying to be hard with me? All right, so do not come to the court trying to be hard because this is not the streets. You understand? Do you understand? All right, thank you. Proceed.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, court is calling 2019 CR 8528, State of Texas versus Arthur Scarboro. Could I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Michael Villery off the state.
Matt
Okay.
Stolhansky from Mr. Scarborough.
And are you Mr. Scarborough? Showing you what's entitled motion to enter adjudication of guilt and revoke community supervision. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it? Are you the same Arthur Scarborough who was placed on deferred adjudication in 2019 CR 8528 for the offense of aggravated assault of a child on March 28, 2022 for a period of 10 years? Is that you?
Yes.
State?
Violated conviction number 13B on or about the 24th day of August 2022 in Bexar County, Texas. The defendant, Arthur Etoku Scarborough, defendant there failed to comply with the instructions of the Bexar County Community Supervision and Corrections Department sex offender program, and that the defendant failed to comply with the instructions of Lone Star Offender Treatment Program, his court ordered sex offender treatment program, and that the defendant was suspended from sex offender treatment for failing to admit responsibility for his offense in violation of condition number 13.
How do you think to that? True or not true?
True. And the state would waive and abate the remaining allegation.
Did you understand by pleading true to violation of condition 13B? Court could find it true, grant the motion, find you guilty, and sentence you to life in prison and up to $10,000 fine.
Yes, Your Honor.
Knowing that, do you still wish to plead true to 13B?
Yes, Your Honor.
Court will find 13B true. Is there an agreement?
There is not, Your Honor.
All right, state, what are you requesting?
So this is a case where I think Mr. Stoltenhansky would like to present first potentially, because it really are part of our argument is going to depend on the potentially new willingness to admit certain culpabilities. And so, from the state's perspective, if he's willing to take some responsibility, that might lend itself to him being continued on probation with some type of like ISF. But if he's not, then the issue becomes for us is what do we do with this person who is not willing to be rehabilitated and cannot be in our community without being rehabilitated.
I don't believe ISS will accept him.
Probation, the sex offender, the SOMU had, that was their original recommendation. So
Okay,
I think they would, based on that, but the court is much more knowledgeable on those aspects. than
well,
I am.
no, I mean, we're all open to learning things. Probation, if you can look into that. And defense, do you have a witness to call?
Yes, Your Honor, I do. I would call Mr. Scarborough.
All right, can you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record. All right, you're gonna need to speak up.
Arthur Scarborough.
All right, defense.
Hold on. Is this the microphone here? Was it better if I put it here?
No, just everyone just speak up.
That's great. Mr. Scarborough, you understand why you're here?
Yes.
Okay, and the at the the polygraph, they said that you denied liability or culpability. Is that correct?
Yes.
So did you ever deny that this thing happened?
No.
Okay. And tell the court what your thinking was.
At the time, I didn't want to believe that it happened. But I accept 100% responsibility, not partial responsibility. I accept 100% responsibility.
And so it was about who instigated the start of this,
Right.
because when you took your polygraph, you said that she was as much of an aggressor as you were. That's not true.
That's not true.
And that you were
I was the
instigated.
aggressor, and I accept responsibility.
And that was the reason that he was expelled from the program.
Right.
State, do you have any questions?
So I just want to make sure that I'm clear and I'm understanding is that you reported initially to your offender provider that this was unwanted and not provoked or initiated by you. Do you remember telling her? You did say that.
Yes,
And are you telling this court now that that statement is not true?
that's not.
Okay, that you did, that this was wanted and that it was provoked by you?
Right.
Okay.
I've had a lot of time to think it over, especially while I was incarcerated for 61 days, and then I'm on house arrest for the 35 days. And I realized that I am the one that's in fault.
Okay. Do you remember having a conversation with your sex offender provider, Ms. Vicki Elliott, and her giving you that opportunity to say the truth?
Yes, and at that time, I didn't want to believe that was the truth.
And isn't it true that when she confronted with you about this and letting you know that you'd be exited from the program and that you would potentially have an MTR, that you still at that point decided that you weren't willing to take responsibility?
I did take responsibility, and I told her at that time that I accept 100% responsibility. But I still stuck to the story that I wasn't 100% at fault as the aggressor. But I realized after thinking it over for so much time that I'm 100%.
Okay. But you also,
I accept the responsibility, and I wish to continue the truth.
and you understand there's a distinction between, it's not really taking responsibility to say that a child provoked this right? That's not really taking responsibility. You understand that? So when you said initially you took responsibility, that's not really taking responsibility.
When I talked to the counselor after I felt the polygraph test.
I'm sorry. I can't hear you.
When I talked to the counselor after I failed the polygraph test, I did take 100% responsibility.
Okay,
But for her, that wasn't a good enough answer.
so you're still. You saying that it happened, but that the child provoked it and that it was
No.
unwanted is taking
No.
100% responsibility.
No, that's not.
Okay.
I accept 100% responsibility. The child did not.
I'll pass by this.
Any other questions?
Pardon?
Any other questions?
I just want the court to know, tell the court about your health issues that we're dealing with.
My health issues, I have a terminal illness called cystic fibrosis. That affects my lungs, mainly my digestive system and sinuses. I have chronic sinusitis.
Which is why you wear the mask.
Yes, I can't be around. I'm real leery of germs. I have ulcerative colitis and I have obstructive sleep apnea, where I have to be on a CPAP machine. All of those things that I didn't get the proper medications and things like that when I was incarcerated. And I don't want to go through that again.
And other than that one violation, you're behind a little in the money because you didn't pay while you
While I
were,
was incarcerated. Yes.
but other than that, there are no new offenses.
No new offenses.
And that you are the transportation for your mother,
Yes.
and your mother goes to the doctor, hospital, at least once a week.
A couple times a month, to the pharmacy as well, to the, I think, for grocery shopping. She's gonna be 88 years old in a couple months. I'm the primary caregiver, which I've not been able to do for the last 95 days, since I was locked up and in a house.
And she lives on your street
She lives 100 yards from me, but I can't go and see her
because of the month.
because of the monitor, house arrest. And I'm the one who takes care of her. My sister has had to take off work and suffer financial loss because of that.
All right, anything else?
One further question. Judge.
Yes.
Did you have cystic fibrosis when you committed this offense?
Yes, I was born with just
Okay.
the genetic terminal illness.
I have no further questions, but I just wanted to make the board aware that Miss Vicky Ellie is here. If the board has any questions for her, as far as probation is concerned.
All right, would you like to call Miss Elliott? Events?
No, man,
Okay. All right. Any other witnesses from either side?
no, man.
State, what are you requesting?
Judge, I'm going to request that this court revoke his supervision at this point. You've prosecuted cases, you have defended cases. I think this is a clear case where he still is. He's saying, well, I took 100% responsibility afterwards, but that's just not the case. That's why we're here. That's why he pled true, is that he didn't take responsibility. And that there is the inability at this point for the state to do anything other to ensure that our community is safe from him potentially reoffending. And that would be the place in a corrections department so that he can't have access to children. This is a case that, obviously the state recommended initially, but that was, the court's aware that we do that in certain circumstances due to victim cooperativeness and really times taking into consideration the further well-being of victims. I think he was given an opportunity. He continues to not take this seriously or make good efforts in progressing his treatment. And so we're going to ask the court to revoke his community supervision and civil penalties.
All right, defense, what are you requesting?
And Your Honor, we're asking that you leave him on probation. He's done 60 days in jail. He's been on monitor for 30 house arrest for 30 days, 30 something days. That he completely admitted today in open court that he was the aggressor, wasn't the child's fault in any way. I'm not sure what the state was speaking of when he said he's not accepting responsibility. He's telling you that he did it, and he admits he did it, and it was his fault. And, he had time to think about it in jail, and that this is 100% responsible for this, and it's his fault. I would ask you to leave him on probation. He's committed no other offenses. he's been a pretty good, other than this one thing, pretty good probation.
All right, is there anything else for me to decide?
Nothing further to say.
All right, the court is going to grant the motion, find you guilty, sentence you to 10 years in prison, give you credit for any time served, chapter 62 registration, no contact with the complainants, showing you what's entitled trial court certification of defendants' rights to appeal. You do have a limited right to appeal, and that is as it relates to the allegation in the motion, not the fact that you were on probation. Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Good luck to you. All right, who's here? Michael Tello.